What happens when a job posting openly demands whites only applicants in today's modern workplace? Well, stay tuned because a Virginia staffing firm is finding out the hard way. LinkedIn Success Mini Course. My name is Tara. Hey, workplace besties. Welcome to the Cubicle in the Corner podcast. I'm Tara, your trusted guide. And let's think of each other as coworker friends because let's face it, calling it a work family just makes it sound like we're all stuck at a Thanksgiving dinner that never ends. As a certified HR professional and seasoned corporate recruiter, I'm here to spill the tea on all the real world scandals, power plays, and office politics that happen out there in corporate America. Together, we're going to investigate the twists and turns of corporate and arm you with the knowledge that you need to survive and thrive. Right. So, I have two companies today that I'm talking about, and this is wild because one of them happened in 2023. Another one was right before 2020, so I think around 2019. But all modern day. And both of these incidents take place in Virginia. So, Northern Virginia is a state of around 3 million people. It's known for its beautiful national parks, rich history. And from what I understand, it's a great place for history buffs because there are tons of museums and American monuments that are there. But even though there it has a rich history, they're also very progressive. There's a lot of technology there. Uh, However, we all know that Virginia has recently seen attempts to turn back the clock on progressiveness and progress. So what's happening is NPR is reporting that Arthur Grand was contracted by companies like HTC Global, which is an information technology company in Michigan, and Berkshire Hathaway, which is a multinational holding company based in Omaha, Nebraska. So in 2023, Arthur Grand posted a discriminatory job ad. Hey coworker friends, I just wanted to interrupt this video really quickly to have a disclaimer. The information in this video is shared solely for educational purposes. It is not intended to incite harassment, intimidation, or any form of negative behavior towards the companies mentioned. And I strongly advise against reaching out to these companies in any manner that may be harmful or disruptive. In other words, no need to reach out. You'll see what happens at the end. You don't need to do anything. Please approach this content with the understanding that its purpose is to inform and promote constructive discussions around the issues of discrimination in the workplace. Okay, back to the video. For a business analyst role in Dallas, Texas, and it was listed as a long term contract. So, before we dive into all of that, let's just take a closer look at what the job ad actually said. So, first, it specifies that it's a contract role. And this means that the employee would be paid by the staffing agency, right? So, it would be paid by Arthur Grand, which would then assign them to work at the business. So, either HTC Global or Berkshire Hathaway. The location was in Dallas, and this is a hybrid role. So far, everything's looking good. And so, hybrid role meaning that they probably were able to come into the office on some days and work from home other days. This is the part that had the internet pissed. So, in brackets, only born US citizens, in brackets, white, who are local within 60 miles from Dallas, Texas, brackets, don't share with candidates, end brackets. So it's what's inside those brackets that's raising serious red flags. So before we dive into why that's suspicious, I just kind of want to go over the job posting process for those of you that are not in talent acquisition or not in recruiting. So before posting any job, recruiters typically hold something called a strategy meeting with the hiring manager, and it's called all kinds of different things at different companies. Now, corporate recruiters may do it a little bit differently than agency recruiters. And one thing that I have to say is that staffing agencies or companies like this usually are paid on a commission. And so there's a difference there in terms of how far they might be willing to go to get that commission. Corporate recruiters are not paid on commission. Corporate recruiters, we have a salary, right? So whether you get hired or not, that doesn't change our rate of pay. We're not paid on commission. But a lot of times, these types of companies that are contracted, like Arthur Grand, it's possible that they may be getting a commission. So, going back to the strategy meeting. So, when you have a strategy meeting, the purpose is the same at all companies. It's really about trying to understand the role. So, recruiters will ask questions about the pay, the location, and what skills and abilities the ideal candidate should have to be successful in this role. So, in this meeting, the recruiter will ask questions and take a ton of notes while the hiring manager outlines their requirements. And that's something to keep in mind because when you think about this, right? So imagine you're sitting there, you're either on the phone, but they're taking notes. The recruiter is taking notes. It's possible. And of course, this is just my opinion and the internet's, but just my opinion, my professional opinion, that the comments in the brackets, especially the part don't share with candidates, that could indicate that the client actually said this during the meeting. And it would seem like the recruiter took that note and accidentally, maybe accidentally on purpose, I don't know, but they accidentally left it in when posting the job. So the kicker about this, well, actually, for both staffing firms I'm going to talk about, but for Arthur Grand in particular right now, they're a minority owned company. So, according to news outlets, they claim that the job posting was made by a disgruntled new hire. Now, the question is, what made the new hire disgruntled? How, like, if you're a new hire, I'm thinking like your first 30 days, you're already disgruntled. But if they're posting jobs like that, and again, this is all opinion, if they're willing to take any kind of business, it makes me wonder about the job like environment there. Like, what was it like to work for Arthur Grand, right? Because bad practices usually lead to bad environments. But again, that's just my opinion. I'm just thinking of things because based on the story. I don't know. I don't work there. So again, all opinion. But that raises questions. How could a new hire already be disgruntled? Um, and I have to wonder, as a person with staffing experience, if the ads directive not to share with applicants indicates that this is what the client said, right? And also, I have that brings up another question. Was the pressure that strong to earn commission enough to compromise ethical standards? So, speaking of ethics, let's talk about what happened with this next company. All right, so on to company number two, which is a company called Cynet Systems. And they are another technical staffing firm that is located in Sterling, Virginia. And it's a similar story. So they posted a job ad for a pharmaceutical accounts manager in Tampa, Florida. And the part that got them in trouble and set the internet on fire is preferably Caucasian who has good technical background, including knowledge of RPA, relationship individual who can get more opportunities and build the account. Okay, so first of all, that's a really poorly written job ad. Um, but what happened next was the job ad was shared on LinkedIn and other job posting sites, was removed after public backlash. So Synapse Systems, they actually issued an apology on what was then Twitter. And we're going to look at the apology right now. But basically, they were explaining that those responsible for the post were terminated. And according to the Associated Press, Synapse Systems also claims to be a minority owned business with over 60% minority staff, and that they took swift action to address the situation. So let's take a look at this apology that they issued. What happened next? We're going to go over both sets of apologies, but first, starting with Sinet. So The job ad, according to the BBC with Signat, was shared on LinkedIn and other sites. Again, it was removed after public backlash. And what the CEO of Signat had to say, according to the BBC, is that in a statement sent to the BBC, the CEO said that Signat Systems had a policy against advertising for clients who discriminate based on race. So that sounds good. That sounds like something that we want to hear. This part, though, they said, we have already begun a review of all currently existing and upcoming ads to ensure no similar issues exist, he told the BBC. We are also looking at measures that can help us catch offensive or outside of policy ads before they ever go live. So, at first, I was going to say, because that last sentence, we're looking at measures that could help us catch offensive or outside of policy ads before they ever go live. I wasn't buying that until the first statement that precedes it that says, we have begun a review of all currently existing and upcoming clients. So basically, they have a policy against advertising for clients who discriminate based on race. And it really should be discriminates, period. And so, obviously, the idea is for all staffing firms out there, don't work with clients who have blatantly racist requirements in the first place. And again, a lot of companies are more focused. Some of these apologies sound more focused on damage control, because Sinet also said that they have fired the individual that was responsible for this. But there must be a deeper issue if they are getting ads like this or requests like this. So don't be focused on damage control. Address the real issue, which would be turning a blind eye to discriminatory practices for the purposes of profit. Now, we're going to also take a look at what the CEO of Arthur Grant said as well. According to this NPR article, it says that Arthur Grant neither admits nor denies any violation. And in fact, it goes on to say that, and this is according to the Department of Labor's agreement, but when NPR reached out, their CEO, Arthur Grant's CEO, had a different spin. So he vehemently denies any guilt or wrongdoing, blaming the job posting on a so-called rogue employee. So this was as of May 2024. This all happened in 2023, and I think that they ended up settling in 2024, and we'll talk about that shortly. But so the question for Arthur Grant that has been on everyone's mind, I don't know if they issued a formal apology yet, but it seems like they're denying guilt. They're passing the blame. Again, this is all opinion about what it appears to be that is happening. And so it's sending mixed messages, and it raises some really serious questions. So now that we've covered all that and the very different responses to blatant discrimination and all of that, what are the consequences of actions like that? And so, what does the DOJ say? So that's the Department of Labor. What does the Department of Labor say? Well, they define employment discrimination as treating an applicant or employee less favorably based on race, color, religion, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, national origin, disability, or veteran status. So that's a lot. Two similar companies, two very different reactions, and two very different consequences, it seems. So the question is probably, what can you do if you believe your employer has discriminated against you? Well, the Office of Federal Contract Compliance Programs, the OFCCP, has resources to guide you through this. So if you can see on the screen, I have their list of knowing your workplace rights, and you can check out their fact sheet for more information, the OFCCP guide. But basically, it seems like if you are going to file a complaint, they walk you through all the ways to do so. But complaints alleging discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, or national origin must be filed within 180 days from the date of the alleged discrimination. So, time is of the essence when you're filing a complaint. Um, Now, getting into what staffing firms can do to avoid situations like this, or small businesses, and ensure that they're part of the solution and not the problem. First, I would say before any job gets posted, make sure to have a double check on that job description. All job descriptions should be reviewed for any discriminatory language or requirements. And this is not just about following the law, it's about doing what is right. Next, as recruiters, as employers, staffing firms, again, a lot of times staffing firms, they get money from big commissions. And so sometimes people will choose commissions over ethics. I'm not saying that's what happened with these two firms. I'm saying that happens, right? So educate your clients from the start. It's your job as a staffing firm or as a recruiter to make it clear that discriminatory job postings aren't will not be tolerated. Sometimes clients might even realize their requirements are crossing a line, or they may not realize that their requirements are crossing a line. So it's really up to the staffing firm to guide them and explain anti-discrimination and why inclusive hiring practices are essential, right? When you're trying to get information from a company about what's important, you're looking for skills and abilities. Anything else, you know, is really that's when things start getting questionable. So make sure to educate your clients about that. Also, regular training is a must, and I think that that's what Arthur Grant is having to undergo now, which is training people, because you have to equip recruiters to be able to spot and confidently handle discriminatory requests. Recruiters have to feel empowered to push back when clients present questionable criteria. So it might be uncomfortable, but it's necessary. And here's a big one. As a company, as a staffing firm, you have to be ready to take a stand. So if a client refuses to comply with ethical hiring standards, you have to be prepared to walk away, regardless of the commission that may be on the table. And it might be difficult. If you're a struggling staffing firm, it might be hard, but protecting your firm's integrity is far more valuable than keeping one problematic contract. And I can guarantee, like, if companies can be problematic in those ways, they're probably problematic in a lot of other different ways. Um, so remember that, and this is key, discrimination doesn't have to be intentional to be illegal. And I said that at the top of this, but I just want to repeat it. Discrimination does not need to be intentional to be illegal. So, lastly, I would just recommend that companies use a review system. The second set of eyes can catch problematic language or requirements before the job postings go live. And sometimes a fresh perspective, a second pair of eyes is all you need for somebody to say, hey, you know what? Maybe this language doesn't make sense. We should take this language out, or maybe we need to go back and talk to the client. And if the client insists, maybe we need to walk away. So, staffing firms, take note. You have the power to set the standard in this industry. And advocating for ethical hiring isn't just about your image and protecting your firm. It's about creating better, more equitable job market for everyone. Everyone, well, thank you for tuning in. And, I appreciate you being here. If this is your first time, please hit the like button and subscribe. Feel free to share with your friends or family just to give them, some education and information on how to navigate being interviewed and hiring and all of those things. And if you enjoyed this episode, again, please like, share, and subscribe. Drop a comment with your thoughts on this scandal. Again, one was in 2019, one was in 2023. They just settled in 2024. But I'd really love to know, have you experienced something like this? What did you do? Has your company experienced something like this? So I'd love to read the comments and kind of keep the conversation going. And until next time, stay informed, stay ethical, and I will see you in the next one.